Welcome to a blustery, cold, and rainy Raleigh, North Carolina, where today those that back the pack are braving the elements to cheer on the NC State Wolfpack, getting set for a 2023 season on the way. Good look at Carter-Finley Stadium. The Wolfpack have taken the field. Red and white game just moments away from kicking off. Hi, everybody. Chris Cotter alongside Mike Lennon. And, Mike, when you think about your memories playing in this game, what was it like as a young player and as a veteran?
Yeah, as a young player, I was behind a guy named Russell Wilson. So this was my Super Bowl. This was my time to show the coaches, show the fans what I was able to do. So there's a big opportunity for some of these young guys dressed in the red and white for the first time. And for these older guys in this weather, I think they're ready for this game to be over and enjoy some time away from football.
Well, when you think about the season to come, there's some storylines in the spring. Let's talk about them. Brennan Armstrong transferred in from Virginia, so it's been an interesting quarterback battle all spring long. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Robert and I, the new offensive coordinator, he was with Armstrong at Virginia 2 years ago, Syracuse last year, and the defense, that's been the calling card for this team over the last couple of years, having to replace 7 starters, though, on that side of the football. Tell me a little bit about your opinion of Armstrong.
Yeah, so Brennan Armstrong comes in here from Virginia, was one of the top quarterbacks in the country 2 years ago under offensive coordinator Robert and I. Really struggled last year, but looking to get back on track this year. MJ Morris steps in last year as a true freshman, down 21-3 to Virginia Tech, leads them back to victory, beats Wake Forest, and then is banged up. And in steps Ben Finley, one of the fan favorites of the Wolfpack, because he went over to Chapel Hill and was able to knock off the Tar Heels, and we got 3 guys that are capable of playing at the Division I level.
Coach Dave Dorn joins us right now on the sideline. And Coach, wrapping up spring practice, what did you hope to accomplish, and what have you been able to accomplish this spring?
You know, we got a lot of new faces. So first of all, it's just getting out there, getting the systems installed, starting to build the chemistry between the guys and the coaches, and then the competitions that are taking place, just one day at a time, helping these guys get better and improve the roster. You know, one of the things that happens in spring ball is some of your older players, you know, especially guys banged up, you rest, and you get those younger guys those needed reps.
Coach, I know you're a defensive-minded head coach. I've heard it on both sides. I don't want to hear the coach speak. Who has the advantage in the rainy elements, offense or defense?
Yeah, you know, probably offense, I would think, because, you know, they're the ones that know where they're going. They've got the plays coming out of the huddle, and defense is a reactionary position, so you're having to put your feet in the ground a little bit more, not knowing where you're going, and you would think that that would be the case, but sometimes you have a little bit of turnover-prone events that take place in games like this, so it's going to be a challenge. It's definitely messy, but I'm excited to see how the guys handle the opportunity. As you know, in the fall, Mike, we're going to have some bad weather.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Coach Dorn getting an opportunity, Mike, and he said it, you know, in the bad weather, you're going to play games in bad weather, so why not get a great opportunity to practice in it? And that's what they're doing right now, and right away, the defense stuffing DeMarcus Jones on the first carry of the game. MJ Morris getting the start for the white squad, and Jones dumped on the first play of the game for a loss.
Yeah, it looked like that was Caden Fordham. Heard a lot about this guy. He's had a great spring. He's really looking to step up, and I know Tony Gibson, talking to the players, they think this is a guy that can be kind of that next Drake Thomas in this defense.
So 2nd down and 15. Morris in the gun. Can't handle the snap. Now he falls on it. There's not going to be any contact with the quarterbacks in the black jerseys. But already, 2nd snap of the game, Mike, we're seeing the weather having a role.
Yeah, I love that Coach Dorn said advantage goes to the offense. It's spoken like a true defensive coach. I mean, he's not the quarterback that's having to catch the snap, throw the ball down the field. It's not easy as a quarterback. You're always, you know, throughout the week, you're looking at the forecast on your phone, the kickers, the punters, the quarterbacks, see what the weather's looking like. And when you see a day like this, it's not very exciting.
Movement on the line of scrimmage, a false start against the white team, and they're going in the wrong direction.
False start, offense, number 72, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Starting guard Sean Hill, guilty of the infraction. These teams are loosely based on first team and second team. Mike, as you know, coming out of spring, sometimes those can obviously change when you get an influx of freshmen, and these days transfers before summertime comes around, but Jones is looking for a crease, can't find much. Maybe picks up a couple. It'll bring up 4th down and forever. Brandon Cleveland on the tackle.
3rd and long right there, backed up, just trying to run the ball, help the punting situation so you can just flip the field.
So in general terms, red team, first team offense and first team defense. White team, second and third team. But there'll be some jerseys switching throughout the course of the day, so you can't put too much into that. Like Jalen Coit on the receiving end of that punt. And we'll get a chance to see Brennan Armstrong. ACC fans are used to seeing Armstrong in orange and blue like that right there. We've seen him in Virginia colors these last couple of years. Mike, 2021, unbelievable numbers. That offense was unstoppable. Last year, not quite the same story.
Yeah, it really wasn't, and it was a combination of things. They had 5 new offensive linemen. He had a lot of drops at receiver, but at times he also missed them. It was just like, it was never on the same page. Receivers would run a good route, Brennan would miss him. He would throw a good ball and they'd drop it. It was just a not well-synced UVA offense last year.
Keon Lassane, who's one of the receivers that this team really hopes to step up. We talked about on the open, Mike, how they lost a lot on the defensive end, and on the offensive end, they bring a lot of personnel back, but the receiver position is one that they've really got to find some players.
The receiver room is definitely the question mark on this team. They lost Thayer Thomas to the NFL. They lost Devin Carter to transfer to West Virginia, so they need someone to step up as that #1 receiver, and right now it looks like Keon Lassane may be the favorite.
Jordan Houston on the carry, pushed out of bounds after a gain of about 6 or 7 yards. One of the linebackers that's going to need to step up as well, Devin Betty. They lost 2 of the 3 starting linebackers on this 3-3-5 defense from last year. So Betty on the tackle. Snap trickles back to Armstrong, but he's got all kinds of time. Now he throws it. It's almost picked. Almost intercepted by Christopher Scott.
And you see right there, Brennan Armstrong going through his progression, starts to his left, works back to his right, and he's telling his receiver, keep coming back to the ball. But that's a good job by the DB to make a break on that play. But you know Tony Gibson wants to see him end that ball with the ball in his hands on that one.
3rd down and 6. Armstrong will throw, quickly has a receiver out in the flat. Complete to Juice Vereen. And that'll be right at the 1st down marker. I think the officials are going to tell him to move the chains. 1st down inside the red zone now for the red squad. Juice Vereen, true freshman. They were expecting big things from him. High-level recruit. Now to the near side to Smith. Give him about 2 yards.
Going back to the last play, Juice Vereen, name that came up often in our talk with the coaches. They are very excited about this guy. Has had a really impressive spring, and he should still be in high school. He was an early enrollee, listed as a tight end, but I think he could play that hybrid type role in this Robert and I offense.
Armstrong now over the middle. As a receiver inside the 10. That looks like Anthony Smith again. Smith, a big-time track star in high school. State records in the 55-meter indoor. 300 meters as well, so big indoor track guy. 1st and goal on the reception. In the middle, touchdown, Jordan Houston. So the red squad, that 1st team offense led by Brennan Armstrong. Goes about 43 yards on that drive for the score early, and they take the early lead.
Yeah, just a basic inside zone play. This is a good job by the offensive line, getting some push. Jordan Houston seeing that cut back lane and an easy walk into the end zone.
Officially 41 yards on 6 plays. Smith to kick for the Pack. PAT. Certainly no guarantee in this weather, but the snap hold was good. Smith was true. And the the red team takes their initial drive down the field. Jordan Houston caps it off with the score. Look at head coach Dave Dorn. Thinking about last year, 8-5, 4-4 in the ACC. You think about this NC State team, Mike. They've won at least 5 games. I mean, at least 8 games in 5 of the last 6 seasons. They're kind of that. You got to feel like just below Clemson. They're kind of that team right now that's in that tier, don't you think?
Yeah, Dave's done a really good job here. I mean, he's been here over a decade, and every year they're in the hunt, and they're not quite Clemson and what Florida State was, you know, under Jimbo Fisher, but we've been at the top of the ACC, and now we're really just looking to get over that hump and finally win an ACC championship.
And we talked about last season with that recap, and Ben Finley had to come in last year for an injured Devin Leary. He and MJ Morris kind of split some time in the latter part of the season, and Finley was really the guy at the very end of the year. You think about North Carolina, you think about the bowl game, he was taking the snaps.
Yeah, he started off the year as the 4th string quarterback, spent the whole season on the scout team, and next thing you know, he's playing against Carolina, he's playing in the bowl game against Maryland. He's done some really good things, and from everything I've heard, he's having one heck of a spring practice. So I think it's going to be interesting in how this quarterback competition carries all the way into training camp and who ends up being the guy of the season opener.
3rd down and a short 7. Red team showing a little pressure, flag down, so it's a free play for Finley, and couldn't hit his receiver on the outside. It was well covered. Shaheen Battle on coverage, but let's check out the flag. Looks like they're going to get a free play.
Defense.
Official's microphone, probably a little waterlogged, would be my guess. You don't have to be standing outside for very long today in Raleigh to get waterlogged all weekend, to be honest with you. You look at the quarterback room, Finley and Morris coming back from last year's squad, and Brennan Armstrong with all that experience coming from Virginia, deciding to transfer here, enter the transfer portal, and when his offensive coordinator, Robert and I, from 2 years ago at Virginia, signed on to be the new OC here at NC State. Well, I'm sure that pushed all the right buttons for Armstrong to make the move to come here to Raleigh. Kendrick Raphael just a little bit shy. Maybe picked up that first down. I think they're going to give it to him. They are. There's a 9. Had a lot of success in a bunch of different spots. You think about BYU, Texas Tech, was with Rich Rod at Arizona for a couple of years, and then obviously the job he did at Virginia a couple of years ago for Bronco.
And how many times did we hear Dave Dorn talk about how Robert and I takes personnel you have and makes it fit? He molds it around these players. He does what they do best. So what the offense looked like at Virginia, what it looked like at Syracuse, it might not look the exact same way here at NC State because he's going to base it around the current players on this roster.
Colby Baldwin was the intended receiver on that play. Finley wasn't able to get it to him. Armstrong's a guy who can run too. You know, the first couple of years they gave him the freedom to be able to not only run when plays broke down, but they had a lot of design runs for him too. You think about, he had Taysom Hill at BYU.
Yeah, he is a gritty, he's strong, he's a powerful runner. I mean, I think back to 2 years ago, he played against Virginia Tech, trucked a guy in the end zone, did it again last year when they played against UNC. And that's something you're not going to see here in the spring game, but that's an element to his game that shows up in the fall.
Finley hands it off to DeMarcus Jones. Give him about 3 yards and bring up 3rd down and 7. Game format here for the red and white game today. Basically a full scrimmage for the first half. So the clock will stop. It'll be just like a regular game, and then they'll have a running clock in the second half. So it's a full 2-hour window. We'll be with you here on the ACC Network Extra. They'll run that clock in the second half. Quarterbacks, as you've seen, are in black jerseys, non-contact, which is the way things work in spring practice. When you were playing, anybody ever violate that rule? Just absolutely light you up?
I think the head coach would be coming for that guy.
That would be it, right? I mean, no one ever does that. Coy on the reception.
Sometimes see a true freshman that doesn't quite understand it, does it, and he learns his lesson.
I mean, if the true freshman just brushes against you, though, that's like a major violation, isn't it?
No, you learn that quick. Don't get near the quarterback. There's not many rules in practice,
right?
But that's one of the rules.
Julian Gray back to return this punt. I'm expecting big things from him. as part of that receiving core. Another track guy. Elite speed back in his high school days. Makes the catch at the 18. That's where the red team will take over. So after a short touchdown drive on their first possession, another opportunity for Brennan Armstrong, this time to go the length of the field. In that first drive, 4 for 4 for 30 yards.
Yeah, he's a really good quarterback that just things didn't go his way last year. So I'm sure he feels good getting back in the system. I'm sure it's something he can do in his sleep. I mean, he played 4 years under the system, has a new system last year. But I think he's going to be able to pick up where he left off with Robert and I. And I've sat in some of the quarterback meetings with it. And he's at the point where he's teaching the other quarterbacks. He's teaching quarterback coach Kurt Roper how to do certain things just because he's been around it so long.
Demi Sumo, Karngbaye.
Number 0, Demi Sumo.
I always want to make sure I say that once throughout the course of the game. He's Demi Sumo from now on. Armstrong with and without an eye. You can see the numbers. Last year was a different offense than it was 2 years ago when he had an eye in Charlottesville. And the one thing, you know, to Armstrong's credit, he said even though he struggled last year and the team offensively at times struggled, he said in that pro system that he had at Virginia last year, he was able to take a lot from that in terms of being able to build on different skill sets.
And coming from a guy that's had 9 different offenses in my career, you start taking things, you know, there's certain things he might have liked in Robert and I's offense, but there's probably some things that he liked about Des Kitching's offense, and he can use those, you know, those certain plays or the way things were taught and carry it with him throughout his career. So although things didn't go the way he liked, I'm sure there was a lot of lessons learned from that offense, from his experience last year, the good and the bad.
Going up top, had his man, couldn't bring it in, was Porter Rooks. Well, Armstrong, despite the weather, the wind and the rain, Mike, put that one right in the breadbasket.
This was a really well-thrown ball. He's got man coverage. His Porter Rooks in the slot, a little slot fade, but that's a good play by the DB right there. Breaking that ball up, but like you said, in this rain, that's a well-thrown ball. And not much more he could do with that ball right there.
Darius Edmondson on coverage. Jalen Coit from his 45. End over end kick. Coit will call a fair catch at midfield, and that's where the white team will take over when we come back. Reds up 7-0 in the annual red and white game. Wolfpack defensive coordinator Tony Gibson. You can see what he's done and how this team has improved in all 4 of his seasons here in Raleigh. Hoping to get a word from Coach Gibson. He's a little busy right now, as you can see, pacing on the sideline. We talked about it in the open, Mike. He's got to replace 7 starters on that defense.
Yeah, they do. The top-ranked defense in the ACC last year. They lost a lot of production, but he said they had a lot of injuries, which has been somewhat of a blessing in disguise because so many guys were hurt besides Drake Thomas. So the linebackers have a lot of experience. The secondary has a lot of experience, but it's going to be a lot of new fresh faces as starters.
Morris back in the gun. Pressure comes up the middle. He's flushed out of the pocket. They'll blow this play dead. 2-yard loss.
Right here.
Coach Gibson joins us right now on the sideline. Coach, we've been talking about your defense and how you're going to have to replace a lot of production this year. What have you seen this spring from your team?
I really like where we're at right now as a unit. I think our guys are, you know, they play fast. They understand the scheme. And just really excited about this new crop of guys we got in. And we've had a lot of guys play over the last few years due to injury and different things. So got a lot of experience back, and just looking forward to watching these guys.
Talk about the growth of Peyton Wilson over the years and what it means for him to come back for another season.
Yeah, just that kind of leadership, a 6th-year guy that's a playmaker. You know, the guys follow him in the locker room, on the field, and just the way he plays. I think that defines NC State football. The guy's a warrior, plays hard every day, loves the game, and loves everything about it, all the preparation, film, all that.
Coach, you lost 3 big-time contributors in your secondary as well, and I know you brought in Robert Kennedy as a transfer. You're really happy about Brandon Cisse as well, a true freshman that enrolled early. Tell me about the secondary and how these new faces are coming along.
Yeah, Devin Boykin, Jakeem Harris, Aiden White, Shy Battle have all played a lot of football for us, and just adding Robert into the mix is really going to help us. Brandon Cisse, again, you just mentioned him. I really like his growth potential and think come the fall he'll be a great contributor for us.
Coach, we were joking earlier with Coach Dorn about the rain and the weather, and as a quarterback, I used to check the weather app, and when I saw rain in the forecast, I wasn't too happy. As a defensive coordinator, you see the rain in the forecast. What's going through your head?
Oh, I love it. That's pressure, pressure, pressure. Get force quick throws, and obviously right now in the fall, I like it a lot better. Spring game, I wish it was sunny and nice.
Yeah.
All right, Coach, we appreciate it. Enjoy it regardless of the weather.
All right, guys, thank you.
All right, thank you, Coach Gibson. Really enjoy watching his defense play. Didn't like that last play, though, as Morris got loose. 30 yards.
And MJ had some really good runs last year, but that's where he also got banged up. He had that knee injury, so it's kind of that fine line in these dual threat quarterbacks, the guys that can run. It's taking the run, but it's also getting down and not avoiding the hit, because those hits add up over time, and it causes him to miss a couple games, which he doesn't want to see it happen again.
Goes down to get this low snap. Now he'll run it himself. Blow it dead, right about the line of scrimmage.
Stop by number 47, Red Hitler.
Yep, another snap. A little low, but he actually does a good job handling it. That ball is wet, and that's not easy to handle. Right there, the coaches are going to say, don't make a bad play worse. We'll take the 2-yard loss, get back to the line of scrimmage, and we'll live to see another down.
Ryland Van at the center spot for the white crew right now. That's Jones getting a lot of run here for the white team early on.
And off this to number 28, Martin Jones. Stopped in the backfield by number 97.
97, Noah Potter on the tackle. Another one of the transfers. Came from Cincinnati. Expecting big things out of him. Fans are here doing their best. These are some hardy folks, man. They love NC State football. If you're out on a day like today, that's a tip of the cap right there, because it is not pleasant out. Morris passes high off his receiver's hands, incomplete. Baldwin was the intended receiver. Hard, tough together today, man. That slogan works perfectly for this crew.
Tell you what, Chris, you're well traveled in the ACC. There's not many fan bases better than what NC State has here. This place sells out every game, no matter what kind of season they're having. Some of the most loyal fans in the country.
No question. Football, baseball, basketball, softball, they love all their sports here at NC State. And there are folks that were not going to miss this game no matter what. Colin Smith on the kick. Splits the uprights. Good kicking battle this year as well between Braden Arvison, who transferred in from Western Kentucky. Colin Smith as well, having to replace Christopher Dunn, one of the most prolific kickers in NC State history. He was pretty much automatic.
Yeah, he won the Bolitnikoff last year, so there's big shoes to fill, and they got the transfer in. But Coach Jordan said this is going to be an open competition headed into the fall, and they want to see how the guys do under pressure. It's one thing to be able to make the kicks in practice. It's another thing to be able to do it when the crowd's roaring on Saturdays. So expect this thing to carry out all the way through training camp, and we'll see who steps out first in that first game of the season.
Dunn won the Groza Award last year.
Yeah,
he wishes he could have won the Bolitnikoff Award last year. I'm sure he probably feels like, I should have won the Bolitnikoff. I never got it. They never threw me the ball. I was wide open on every play.
Freddie Bolitnikoff, when I was with the Raiders, he used to come around practice. Don't know why that one popped in my head first. Sorry, Chris. Lou Groza.
Did he used to come by practice with the stickum, like on his socks and on his wristbands still? Another opportunity to see Armstrong. Moving up front. They'll blow this one dead. Coy Turnage, a little quick on the whistle.
Offside. Defense, number 95. 5-yard penalty, second down.
They got the wrong guy. It was Turnage, which is really hard to miss because he's 6'4", 350. I don't know how they missed 90 on that one. There he is. I guarantee you Corey loves this kind of a field, though, you know. Muck it up. He looks like a total mutter. That pass incomplete. Tried to hit Delbert Mims out of the backfield. Mims couldn't handle it.
Yeah, and Tony Gibson said that he's going to bring the pressure when it rains right there. I'm not sure if Brennan would have got that ball off in time if he was really live. Little screen and double screen, so he's looking to the right first if it's open. If not, he's going to come back to the running back on the left. But in real football, that one would have hurt.
Two backs in the backfield. Armstrong looking one way. Now he comes back and reads his progressions. Hits a receiver for a gain of about 8 yards on the play. That's going to be Seth Sebro, tight end.
Nice job by Brennan going through his progression, and Seth Sebro sitting in that zone window. You run that shallow cross for a zone, you just kind of want to sit down and snap it, able to pick up the first down.
Seth Sebro's identical twin brother is Fred Sebro. They're both on this team. Now, here's the thing. They're identical twins, but Seth is 6'4", 245, and Fred is 6'4", 230. Now, either Sed has been, I'm sure Sed would say that one's going to be intercepted. It might go back for the score. Darius Edmondson picks it off and returns it for the score. So the white team hadn't been able to get much going offensively. Pick 6 on the defensive end. And now they're an extra point away from tying this game. What happened here with Armstrong?
I think this was just a poorly thrown ball. The weather playing a role in this. Wet ball gets away from him, and just, you can tell that it's not where he wanted to go with it. And, you know, good play by Edmondson finishing it, but that's just a poorly thrown football right there.
Number 44, Brandon Armstrong is on to the 10.
42 yards on the pick 6. Here's a good look at Edmondson.
Point after is good.
Braden Arvison on the PAT. White team takes the 3-point lead. Let's look ahead to 23 in our 2023 in our schedule for the Wolfpack coming up. Open up at UConn on September 2nd. Done a great job up there at UConn.
Yeah, I think it's a relatively easy away schedule. So if they can take care of those away games, you got Notre Dame coming in here. Obviously, that's going to be a tough matchup. Sam Hartman, the new quarterback at Notre Dame. But as we hit on, this place is going to be a great environment. NC State plays really well at home. So if they can take care of those games on the road and pull off some of these maybe upsets against Notre Dame, you know, we see Clemson's coming in town, Miami's coming in town. Walk away with 2 of those 3 wins right there. They could set themselves up for a nice run at ACC.
Don't sleep on Jim Mora and UConn, though. Bowl team last year. Those opening weekend games can jump up and get you, can't they? Especially when you got to go on the road.
Yeah, UConn came here last year, and they were still struggling at the time, and it looked like they were not going to be very good. But Jim Mora did turn that season around, and they ended up going to a bowl game. So they've kind of been, you know, down at the bottom of all of college football for the last few years. But it looks like they could be coming back, coming off the national championship in college basketball.
Little trickeration here. Flea flicker got him in wide open downfield. Anthony Smith, and he drops it. Anthony Smith didn't have a defender within 15 yards of him. Even Armstrong with a laugh. What more can you do?
Little double reverse pass, wide open. It's almost like the ball is in the air too long, and he has nothing but to think about what could go wrong right here. I mean, this looks like a punt return.
Right through his hands and hits his face mask. And we mentioned the track guys. Sometimes the track guys come with all the speed in the world, but they've got to work on other parts of their games to become complete football players. And Anthony Smith still needs to work on the hands part.
Yeah, luckily this is just a spring game, because if that was a real game, he'd have a hard time going to sleep tonight.
Armstrong misfiring on 3rd down, which will bring up 4th. Gray back to receive this punt from his own 36. make the catch at the 30. That looked almost exactly like that pass play to Anthony Smith. The exact same spot. Gray was able to bring it in. Red team takes back over. White team check that. Finley looks like he may be coming out. We will see Finley. Redshirt sophomore from Phoenix. Finley split in 2 backs. We've seen this formation a little bit. Play fake. He's going downfield. Receiver well covered, intercepted. Jaheim Battle. 30, 25, still on his feet, still going inside the 10, and he'll score 2 pick sixes in the first quarter in this red and white game.
And right here you'll see Ben Finley. He's got one-on-one on both sides running to go. He picks his best matchup. And that's just a really good play by Jaheim Battle to go up, high point that ball, find it in the air, and then take it back for the pick 6. It almost looked like the guys were trying to tackle him. A little smile on his face again. Feels a little less bad when you throw an interception in a spring game than you do in a real game.
I would imagine so. That's probably not going for 6 either. 57 yards if there was a little bit more on the line. Although, when you were playing here, did you play for anything? Like winner gets steak, loser gets frank and beans or something like that?
No.
That happens sometimes in spring games. They play for something. Put something on the line.
Yeah, this is it's a good game so far. I mean, this is set up for the red team. It's predominantly the 1s versus the 2s. But that pick 6, white team's holding their own.
Emblematic of spring games as well are the offensive coaches keeping things close to the vest, right, Mike? And then, of course, on the last series, we see the double reverse flea flicker.
Yeah, I don't think either side of the ball is going to show too much. It's going to be very vanilla plays. The base offense, day 1 install. They're not going to let any, UConn or Notre Dame see what they're running in this spring game and see what they might have on what they might come out with in that opening game against UConn.
Kendrick Raphael on the carry. Maybe picks up a yard on the stretch.
Kendrick Raphael, the freshman out of Naples, he was a name that Dave Doran did bring up that's had an impressive spring. So between Jordan Houston, Deme Sumo, they have a pretty deep running back room, but we'll see if Raphael can crack the lineup and make an impact as a true freshman.
Also mentioned Trevally Price, who was in on the tackle, number 13, the defensive end. That's somebody to keep an eye on. Fumble on the play. Looks like the red team picked it up. They did. So back-to-back turnovers. Davin Vann is able to pick this one up. And the white team turns it over for the 2nd time in as many possessions.
Yeah, Davin Vann, he's one of the best players on this defense. He plays with a really high motor. He's got a great speed rush. Right here, he's able to strip the ball. Let's see. Now that's what defensive coaches right there, to punch it, strip it, and get the fumble recovery. Great job right there by Davin Vann.
Another short field for Armstrong to work with. As the weather continues to deteriorate here in Raleigh, he's a little less effective on his last possession. Michael Allen now getting the carry, and he's going to be dropped for a loss. Jordan Poole on the tackle. Peyton Wilson not expected to play today. Jordan Poole going to get most of the run on that weak side linebacker spot. See if Armstrong can get one more play off before the end of this first quarter. They do get the snap off just in time. Armstrong looking downfield over the middle. As a receiver, it's a tight end. Down to the 13, 14-yard line. Fred Sebro of the Sebro brothers on the receiving end. Red team's back in business. Red and white game heading to the second quarter. 14-10, red team on top.
This class of quarterbacks, they each were born to take this stage. Only question is, which team believes enough to take them? The NFL Draft begins April 27th on ESPN and ABC.
Yeah, the quarterbacks might highlight the upcoming NFL draft, but several teams out there have other needs. They may have a need at receiver, and this man may be able to fill that bill. Thayer Thomas joins us right now, former Wolfpack receiver. How you doing, Thayer?
Doing great, trying to stay dry and also trying to stay warm, but enjoying the spring game. First time kind of watching it from the sideline, but it's been a good game so far.
Now, we've got footage of your pro day when you were getting the ball thrown to you right on the money. I mean, every single pass was an absolute strike from a certain Mike Glennon, who's standing to my right over here.
Yeah, he was slinging it for sure. He was very accurate, and, you know, I was blessed to have him come out there and throw to me. But we've done that a while now, for a few years, so it was kind of just like we're kind of used to it, so it was good.
Yeah, some Slappy out there throwing you the ball. I mean, right here, let's see what you got coming back to the ball. Great job. Next play, we got a little outbreaker. And from all the scouts I talked to after this, everyone said Thayer really helped himself. He ran a really good 40, showed what he could do in the routes. And we get to the clip right there, but the next throw, you almost outrun me on the post. Shows the speed you got. But what I want to get at is, you know, you came in as a walk-on. You finished your NC State career second in receptions in all of Wolfpack history in receptions and touchdowns. Later in this game, we're going to see a lot of walk-ons play. What does the spring game mean for some walk-ons?
Yeah, I think for me especially, it was kind of a way for me to show that I could play, you know, on game day. I definitely felt like I earned my role in 2018 through spring practice and then also through the spring game. I kind of earned my punt return job in the game, and I felt like I also kind of earned that role of just being a guy I could be relied on. And I think it's a great time for walk-ons to get on the field and show what they can do.
Michael Allen scoring the touchdown for the red team as they get back on the board. From what you're hearing from NFL scouts, or what are you hearing about where you might go in the draft, how that might work out, if there's any prognostication out there for you?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I helped myself out with the pro day that I had. And obviously, I feel like I had a really good productivity while I was at NC State. And the consensus is a day 3 draft pick if I was drafted. But if I'm not, then obviously I'll be like a free agent, priority free agent. And I've gotten good feedback from quite a few teams. But at the end of the day, I just need an opportunity like I did here, just got the opportunity. And I feel like I'll do the most with that. So.
And we go to the receiver room currently. 2 years ago, Mecca Mezzi. Last year, you and Devin Carter. Who do you think from this group is going to step up and become that guy?
You know, I'm excited to see what Porter Rooks does this year. I feel like with me gone, it gives him more of an opportunity to, you know, show what he can do. Obviously, he's a great talent. And I'm also really excited to see KC, Kevin Concepcion. I'm really excited to see what he's able to do. And also Keon Lassane is a great leader for that room, and he'll do good things this year.
Thayer, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Stay as dry as you can down there.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on.
There you got it. Thank you,
Pack.
man. Thayer Thomas looking forward to the NFL draft. And like you said, if he isn't drafted, he'll be an unsigned or undrafted free agent, get an opportunity to make a squad. So we've seen Rooks and we've seen Lassane, a couple of names he mentioned. Haven't seen KC Concepcion yet. He's banged up a little bit this spring, even though both Anai and Doran said good things about the freshman.
They did, and I talked to Joker Phillips as well, the receiver coach, and his name got brought up by Joker Phillips. Casey Concepcion, Juice Farine, these are guys that stepped in as early enrollees and have impressed the coaches early this spring.
Concepcion, the freshman from Charlotte, staying on the ground. Micah Crowell on the carry for NC State. The run game's going to be interesting this year with Robert Anai. Really very non-traditional kind of running game when he was at Virginia those years. I mean, they threw the ball first. You think about they never really had a bell cow back where they would 4.2 yards, you know, cloud of dust, march down the field with those kind of plays. You know what I'm saying, Mike?
Yeah, but last year he did with Sean Tucker, and he's going to evolve the offense around the guys like we talked about.
Great pass and a great look. Jalen Coit on the receiving end. That's probably the sharpest pass we've seen in this rain and wind today.
That is, and I'm glad that MJ Morris is getting a chance to show what he can do in this format with this 2 offensive line. It makes it tough, but that's a great job stepping up in the pocket, getting it over that linebacker on this 4 verticals concept. And it's a good job coming down with that catch. That's not an easy catch in this rain to come down with.
22 yards on the pitch and catch to Coit. Fresh set of downs for the White squad. Play fake. Now he's under a lot of pressure. They're blowing that one dead, rightfully so, before he was able to throw it away. We'll credit a sack. Red Hibbler and Torrin Wright both combining on the sack. Hibbler's another one of those players. 47, defensive end. They've said some good things about. Got some players injured in this game on that defensive front, like Savion Jackson and some others.
Yep, C.J. Clark. But that's a good job by that defensive line, getting that internal push. And as a quarterback, that's as hard as anything. When you don't have anywhere to step up in the pocket, it makes it almost impossible to go anywhere with it.
Talked about some of the transfers on the defensive side of the ball. You got Kennedy. We talked to Coach Gibson about him. Nickelback out of Old Dominion. He mentioned Potter as well from Cincinnati. He had a lot of options. Decided to come here to NC State. This is one of the teams he really wanted to go to if he got an opportunity. And then Red Hibbler. You just mentioned him on that defensive end, giving them a little bit of depth, along with Potter.
Yeah, but Coach Gibson had great things to say about Robert Kennedy. He said the best thing about a DB is when you never notice him on film because he's not getting beat. They're not completing balls on him, and it sounds like he has stepped into this defense and is going to fill a void at that nickel position, and they're very excited about it.
DeMarcus Jones out of the backfield is able to catch that pass. I'm not sure if Morris ever gets that off, though, if he doesn't have the untouchable black jersey on. As again, pressure up the middle from NC State. Hibbler applying the pressure once again, and Morris will trot off. White team will punt. We're already in the second quarter here, Mike, getting the white and red all mixed up. We got white team punting to a dude in a white jersey. And they snapped. Long snapper was wearing a red jersey. I'm going to give up. Coach, I'm giving up already. Second quarter. Entertaining game, though. Red up 21-10. Today through about a quarter and a few minutes. Brennan Armstrong started off 4 for 4 on that first drive when he led him on a score. Since then, just 2 for 9. Going through his reads, finding his back. Demi Sumo out of the backfield. Armstrong clearly, though, 3rd place in the hair department in this quarterback room, though. Look at Finley. Got that quaff working. MJ Morris as well.
I'm not one to be able to comment on hair.
I guess that makes me the expert then in the booth in that department. Armstrong more concerned with getting back on track here and getting this team moving. Sumo on the carry. Give him 5 yards. 3rd down and 3. Jordan Poole on another tackle. High-level recruit. We came out of Oakboro, North Carolina. Getting a lot of playing time with Peyton Wilson sitting out this spring game. The linebacker room that needs to be rebuilt. Having lost Drake Thomas and Isaiah Moore from last year's squad. Receiver out in the flat, makes the catch, making the most of it. That's Concepcion. We've been waiting to call his name. We do on this play, and he moves the sticks and gets the ball to midfield.
And now we can see why the coaches are so excited about him. Looks like a small guy, but shifty with the ball in his hands. That's one way to break out on the scene. First catch in that Wolfpack uniform. And definitely living up to the hype of the coaches.
See the smiling faces on the sideline. The run after the catch for Concepcion. Back in motion. Armstrong underneath. Sumo. Not going to make much happen. They'll drop him at midfield. Maybe a gain of a yard. we've talked about how Anai wants to keep things kind of plain vanilla during this spring game, right? Doesn't want to show too much. But the one thing he has been known for, it's formations and motion to try and get mismatches, right? Like you got a guy like Juice Farine who might play that hybrid role. He's always had that hybrid that gives you a lot of mismatches.
Yeah, he does a great job using formations and motions to put his players at an advantage. And he'll run the same play out of multiple different looks and just make it look different to the defense. I remember last year watching Syracuse play against UConn. He motioned in the exact same formation. They ran a couple different plays on it, and 2 of them went for long touchdowns. And then against NC State, actually, he lines up Rondé Gadsden in the backfield as a running back, shoots him up the rail for a wide open touchdown. Just causes confusion for the defense of who has him, because they're used to him playing a receiver, a wide out position, and next thing you know, he's lined up at running back. So he does a great job during the week, game planning, throwing in a few new wrinkles to throw off the defense.
First set of downs here for Armstrong after the Rooks catch. More little razzle-dazzle. That's not going anywhere, though. Stuffed. Julian Gray, they wanted to get in the hands of the speedster. This defense was having none of it, though. Kamal Bonner.
This is basically the same play as the reverse pass, but now they're just going to run it right here, and the defense is not fooled. That's a good job by Bonner coming up and making a play for a huge loss. And now in the real game, that's a devastating loss, because it knocks you out of field goal range, and you can't really get back in it. Right here, we'll see if they just go with the draw or screen, get them to jump off sides.
Get 5 yards of it back.
Offside with contact. Defense, number 60. 5-yard penalty, second down.
You know, a big part of the conversation with these receivers, too, is who's going to be that hybrid that Anai wants. You think about Rondé Gadsden last year at Syracuse. You think about Keaton Thompson 2 years ago at Virginia. They didn't even have a football. They didn't have a position for him at Virginia. They called him football player. That was his position, because Anai moved him around so much and used him in the backfield. He was even a quarterback at Mississippi State, Thompson was, so Anai could have used him to throw it if he wanted to, and high over the middle. Armstrong's pass goes wanting, but here you see the 2 that he used in that hybrid role. And one of the big questions we asked Tim, and I'm sure NC State fans are wondering, is who's going to fill that role on this team?
I think there's 2 guys. They got the kind of the rookie and the vet. The vet is Trent Penix, but Trent Penix needs to stay healthy. He's productive when he's out on the field, but he's got to find a way to play a full season. And then the young guy, Juice Farine, 6'4", 210. I think between those 2 guys, one of them will step up and become that kind of hybrid tight end receiver role that you're referring to.
Armstrong extending the play. Now he's got a blocker in front of him. He'll run it. Shows his ability there, even though he's wearing the non-contact jersey. Out in space, he can extend plays and he can get positive yards when the play breaks down.
And right here, you see Brennan extend the play. And then he's got a good block right here by Lyndon Cooper leading the way out in front on the quarterback scramble. And whether he gets his first down in real football, I don't know. But at least this would actually get them back in field goal range. But glad they gave him the first down here so we can see what Brennan can do in the red zone.
Want to extend this drive. Tried to get it to Lassane. I'm not sure Lassane had the jump for that one. Might have made it more difficult for him to bring him down a wet football.
It's interesting looking at the receivers. Some keep the gloves on, some take them off. I don't know if there's a good way to go about it, except, you know, using towels, drying them off as much as possible.
Yeah, there's no way to sugarcoat the weather here today in Raleigh. It is miserable and has been all weekend. Tried to sidearm that out to Penix. We weren't sure we would see Penix today. He's also nursing a little bit of an injury. Spring game, I mean, these coaches are so nervous about players getting hurt. If you're even this banged up in the slightest bit and on a wet turf like this, I'm sure they're saying, just take the day off.
Yeah, and it's a new field, too. They had that hockey game here, you know, about a month and a half ago. So this is a brand new field. You kind of saw what happened in the Super Bowl this past year in Arizona with that new field. Guys were slipping all over the place, and that's in an indoor arena, essentially. So, yeah, I think Doran will be happy if he gets out of this game with no injuries.
Armstrong to throw. Has a great pocket. High and intercepted. Over the hands of his intended receiver, Vereen. Picked off by Jamari and Montford. Jamari Montford on the pick. So these wet footballs sailing on some of these quarterbacks. DBs, the recipients of the good fortune. Annual red and white game here in Raleigh. Red squad on top. About 5:39 left to go in this first half. Joined right now by Drake Thomas, former linebacker here at NC State. Drake, you had the umbrella for a moment. Once we put you on camera, you decided to shed it. You defensive guys don't need an umbrella here in this rainy kind of weather.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm not afraid of it. It's football weather.
Hey, you're showing up, big bro. There had the umbrella, but Drake, guys are first in the ACC last year in defense. Coach Gibson, what makes him such a great defensive coordinator?
I think he plays to his players' strengths a lot. He coaches to his players' strengths. He lets us play football instinctually, and he lets us go make plays, and he lets us play aggressive.
Drake, you and Isaiah have lost your, you've exhausted your eligibility, so it's a whole new crop of players. Who's really impressed you in terms of who you think is going to be the next one to step up at that linebacker spot?
I mean, you got a bunch of guys that have played valuable snaps still in the linebacker room. Obviously, Peyton Wilson, he's a first-team All-ACC caliber kind of guy. And then you got Devon Betty and you got Jalen Scott as well, who've both started meaningful snaps and played in important games. So you got those three guys right off the bat that are, you know, experienced. They're veteran guys at this point, and you know they're ready to play. And then as far as younger guys who don't have as much experience, I think Caden Fordham is really impressive. Just his football, you know, IQ and his instinctual ability to be on the field and go make plays. And you know, I'm really impressed with Caden from what I've seen.
And between you and Thayer, the Thomas brothers strong, but we got one more on the scene, Lex, quarterback. How is he liking his time so far here at NC State?
He's enjoying it. You know, he's kind of finding his spot right now, finding where he fits in, and he's growing a lot. I'm really proud of him, you know, how far he's come. Obviously, little brother, seen him come all the way up, go through everything he's gone through, and just to see him at this point in his life and his career, it's been amazing to watch, and I'm super proud of him.
Hey, Drake, we talked about how NC State has won at least 8 games in 5 of the last 6 years. It's kind of now, it's almost expected, isn't it? I mean, the way you've elevated this program, just going to a bowl game isn't enough. It's all about now competing for ACC championships, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, when you win, it's not easy to win to begin with. But when you keep on winning and it's a consistent thing and it's every single year, you want to keep on getting better. You want to keep on elevating your play. So that next step is definitely, you know, a huge emphasis for this program, I'd say. And I think that we're heading in the right direction for sure.
Drake, we appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys for having me.
All right, Drake Thomas, former linebacker here with the Wolfpack. Did have an injured player. DeMarcus Jones was shaken up. Looks like he was able to come off under his own power, so that is good. Clock ticking inside of 4 minutes in this first half. White team forced to punt once again. Coit is back to receive it from his own 30. Line drive kick is going to drive him back to the 22. That's where he makes the fair catch. More from Raleigh when we come back. Chris Cotter, Mike Glennon with you at Raleigh, North Carolina. Look at the weather and look at Brennan Armstrong's numbers. I thought the weather favored the offense, Mike. What's going on?
That was just so classic that the defensive coach said that. But I don't even feel like this is a fair evaluation of any of these quarterbacks between the pressure up front when MJ and Ben Finley are in there, and then with the weather. I mean, for all these quarterbacks, you're not going to get a true gauge of what these guys can do in these circumstances.
Playbook not quite opened up nearly as much as you'll have it in September. Delbert Mims, that's a powerful looking running back. 5'11", 215, the redshirt junior out of Indianapolis. Getting the carry there. Didn't have a chance to get that engine revved up though. Poole leading the charge defensively. He's been in on a number of tackles. 6 tackles. Forced fumble recovery, by the way, for Davin Vann. Jordan Poole's been big too. As you would expect. I mean, Peyton Wilson not playing today, so Poole's going to get in on a lot of tackles. Devin Betty as well. Davin Vann. Mims forced outside. He's going to be dropped for a loss. That's 2 in a row.
This two defense is doing a good job against this offense. I mean, there's too many unblocked defenders, guys coming free, tackles for losses. No matter what the weather circumstances, there should not be guys being unblocked and this many losses in the backfield.
Yeah, Kamal Bonner's also had a really good first half. Tony Gibson has to be happy what he's seen from his linebackers. We just spoke to, Drake Thomas. He and Isaiah Moore, two of the more productive linebackers in the league last year, no longer here. So got to find some compliments for Peyton Wilson. He knows what he's got in Betty and Scott.
False start. Offense, number 15. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
We haven't even mentioned Caden Fordham's name yet today, although certainly the coaching staff and even we heard from Drake Thomas have great things to say about him.
Yeah, he was in on that first play of the game, but Tony Gibson said he's been in the system for 3 years. It's his time now. I think he can be kind of that next one to step in. This linebacker group has been great, with Drake and Isaiah and Peyton, and I think there's no reason to think that it'll drop off.
3rd and forever for Armstrong. He's able to find a little bit of a gap in that zone and finds Lassane.
Yeah, this is a good job by Brennan finding this hole shot. They're kind of playing this cover 2 defense where it's in between the corner and in front of the safety, but good job by Keelan Lassane sitting in that hole and Brennan driving the ball before the safety can make a play on it.
Just enough to move the sticks, so 21 yards on 3rd and 20. Armstrong underneath. That's Concepcion. He's able to bounce off a tackler and pick up another 1st down.
Tell you what, I like this guy. He's able to catch the ball, get north, and drive. I mean, for being a smaller guy, he was able to push that play another 5 yards and get the 1st down.
Armstrong over the middle, tried to get it to Vereen, and Juice just wasn't able to go behind him and pick that one out of the air. A little behind him on that pass.
Yeah, I was a little behind, but I think he was trying to stop him in his hole. This was the same play that we saw MJ hit before. 4 verticals out of a 3-by-1 formation. He's trying to put it on that back shoulder, that back hip.
Should have been caught.
And the type of play that, they're going to expect Vereen to make that one.
You can see 6'4", 210. He's right in that big receiver. Too light to be a tight end, really. But at 6'4" and 210, he gives you a big target. Now underneath. Tailback Mims. He's able to pick up maybe 4. 3rd down with the clock stopped. Timeout for the red team to talk things over as they continue with this 2-minute offense.
It'll be interesting to see what Juice Vereen turns into. You mentioned 6'4", 210 as really a high school student right now. So what do they want to do with him? Do they want to keep him as a receiver body type and keep him around 210 his whole career, or do they kind of try to jack him up and turn him into more of a tight end? So
don't genetics sometimes take care of that? Like guys who come in as tight ends end up as tackles.
Yes.
Guys who come in as big receivers end up eating their way into the tight end position, lifting their way.
That come in at 6'4", 210 and they finish at under 210.
Yeah. The training table in the weight room will take care of that. You can see his numbers. He was also a heck of a basketball and baseball player in high school, too, before last couple of years in high school down in Havelock, deciding to focus on football, and it looks like that was the right decision. A very bright future here at NC State. 3rd and 6, final minute and 10 of this 1st half. Armstrong to throw. Delayed blitz. Now he's trying to get it out to the flat. It's a beautiful pass down the field to Porter Rooks, who just couldn't bring it in. Armstrong put that right on the money, and Rooks got turned around a little bit.
Yeah, they had man coverage right here. It looked like it was a corner route, but he was trying to lead him up the field a little bit more. You see Rooks had to adjust. He was expecting that ball out of his outside shoulder, but then had to turn around. Again, another one, a tough catch to make, but in a critical situation in a 2-minute drill like this, you'd like to see the two connect.
So now on 4th down, it's 4th and 6. They'll keep Armstrong out there and try and convert. White team calls the timeout on defense. They saw what Armstrong and the red team wanted to go with from a formation standpoint, personnel. Defense wants to talk things over. Yeah, when you think about this kind of weather, you obviously want to work on situational stuff. From a 2-minute drill perspective, how much are you really getting from it?
You're definitely getting a lot because you don't get real live 2-minute drill reps that often in practice. So when you get in these scrimmage type situations, these reps are very valuable, whether the rain or not, to go through the procedure of going up on the line of scrimmage, signaling the plays. You know, Brennan putting himself in a game-like situation where if it's not there, okay, take the check down, get the ball moving in right here, 4th down. They're kind of in that no man's land where there's field goal or punt, got to convert.
White team brings 5. Armstrong puts it right on the money, but he's going to be just shy of that 1st down marker. Rooks on the catch. It looks like he's going to be just short.
Yeah, you would like to see Porter Rooks push up here and make sure he's getting to the sticks and maybe a yard past it. That way, when he works friendly back downhill, he's still past the line of gain. But that's a good job making a catch on that one. That was not an easy ball to catch. Probably a throw you'd like to see out in front a little bit more to give him a chance to run after the catch.
There you see Armstrong talking with his receivers. Nicholas Trico was the one who was able to tackle Rooks just a yard shy of the 1st down marker. So 56 seconds left on the flip side now. An opportunity for MJ Morris now to work on this 2-minute offense. See if he can get his team into field goal range.
For MJ, this is even more valuable because he's only maybe had 1 or 2 of these experiences in his career. In a game situation. Brennan has more experience, but looks like, maybe they're just going to run it out, see what they could do there on 1st down. And if that run pops, then they'll go into more of a 2-minute drill.
Raphael on the carry gets maybe a yard.
Gain of 1 yard.
And it looks like Morris is content to shake the water from his hands and let that clock run down. Two-back set with Crowell and Raphael flanking Morris. That's a good carry by Raphael all the way into the red team territory. So now maybe you only have 12 seconds left.
Now you're just trying to get in field goal range, give your kicker a chance.
Maybe one shot.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do.
No, I was going to say in this weather you're going to need a good distance to give your kicker a shot. Whistle blows. Final play of the half. Got one final play left to go though before the teams head to the locker room. Gigi's Playhouse, that's a nearby Down Syndrome Achievement Center offering educational, therapeutic, and career building programs to individuals with Down syndrome, with their families and the community. And Michael is here from Gigi's Playhouse. We're going to give Michael a chance to see what he can do with the pigskin in his hands.
And this is one of the cooler things that Dave Dorn's done the past few years at NC State is he brings Gigi's Playhouse in every year and kind of gives this, this moment, and it's always a favorite to watch and see how they react.
Michael's all ready to go. Dorn's put him in the right formation.
So we got lined up at tight end here.
There he is in the slot. Morris will take the snap. Looks like Michael was blocking. Anaya must have changed the play and used Michael as the deke. They handed it off to another star tailback from Gigi's Playhouse, and she's going to score.
That was awesome.
Good moment at the end of the first half. We'll send it to the studio when we come back. Halftime score here at Raleigh, 21-10. Red Squad on top. Second half from Carter-Finley coming your way after this. here at Carter-Finley. Our halftime score, red with the lead over the white team as the teams take the field for the annual red and white game. Second half coming your way. Chris Cotter and Mike Glennon along with you. So the big story coming into this game was Brennan Armstrong. We got a chance to see him in the first half. What'd you make of his performance?
Yeah, it was obviously not what he was looking for. 2 interceptions, but in this conditions, you really just want to see the quarterback going with the ball in the right place, going through his progression, making sure his eyes are in the right spot. You'll see a couple good completions right here. He finds his tight end up the hash for a big completion. Again, he found his receivers. You can tell he's going through his progressions. He's running the offense at a high level. It's just those few interceptions, but I think the weather is playing a big role in this. But a bright spot definitely was KC Concepcion.
Yeah, these receivers, a couple of them had really outstanding first halves. Here's your quarterback comparison between Armstrong, Morris, and Finley. Armstrong 14 of 28, directed the team down the field in that 2-minute drill. Wasn't able to score though. Just before the end of the first half. So that's where we are right now on a rainy day here in Raleigh. Team's getting ready for the second half.
And I think we'll be seeing more of MJ Morris in the second half. I'm not sure how much we'll see of Brennan Armstrong, but those numbers right now are pretty lopsided. Brennan has 28 attempts, MJ only 4. So hopefully we can see MJ and Ben kind of chuck it around this second half.
Again, we'll have a running clock here in the second half.
There's the great Joe Tooney, 3-time Super Bowl champ.
Coach is telling him right now, I'd love to keep this conversation going, but I got to talk to the guys up in the booth. So hang on a second.
All right.
Hey, Coach, thanks for joining us.
You bet.
Give me your impressions on the first half. Let's start with the quarterback room.
You know, it's a tough day throwing the ball at these wet balls, but we did some good things. You know, I hate to see any turnovers, obviously, but they've done some good things. Some guys have made some tough catches. We've had some good scramble runs, but kind of a little bit of what I expected with the ball security. I'm glad we haven't put it on the ground too many times, quarterback center-wise, but I like the way they're leading the team, and there's a lot of recall when you get in a situation like this with your guys. You know, you get into the fall. But I like the way that Brennan and MJ and Ben have come out.
Coach, I saw you talking to Joe Tooney right there when Joe came in at 250 pounds as an offensive lineman, and now he's a 3-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time All-Pro player. Talk about what Joe did with this program.
So proud of him and happy for him, and he's playing, you know, for my hometown team, Kansas City Chiefs. So I was just thanking him for taking care of the home team for me, but so happy for him. He's a world traveler, just got back from Spain, and to come over here and watch a spring game in the rain for a guy like him, I mean, it means a ton to have him back.
Thanks, Coach. Enjoy the second half.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot.
Dave Doran in his 11th season now. Hard to believe, 11 years here at NC State and the success he's had and players like that right there. Joe Tooney with the Chiefs, Pro Bowler this last year. Says a lot about the development, to your point, about how a player is when he comes in versus how he is when he leaves.
Yeah, and I think that's what this program has prided themselves on. You see guys like Joe Tooney, Bradley Chubb, they come in as kind of these more 3-star guys, and they end up going in the top 10 in the draft, or in a case like Joe, he's one of the best offensive linemen in all of football. And it's been awesome to see Joe's career play out the way he's had, and he's earned it.
Morris starting this second half with the red squad. Checks down to his tailback out of the backfield. That's Sumo on the catch. As you see what Doran has done just in the last 3 years, and you think about, we mentioned it before, the 8 and 9 win years. NC State's never had 4 straight 8-win seasons, and in our conversation with Drake Thomas, it's like, okay, that's the norm now. 8 and 9 wins is what's expected. Now it's time to take it to the next level.
Yeah, the standard has been risen over the decade that Dave has been here, and now I know, you know, NC State fans are looking forward to this new format to get out of that division with Clemson, with Florida State, with Louisville when they have Lamar Jackson. I mean, it opens it up now where hopefully we can get in and prove that we can be the best team in the ACC.
Jamarian Montfort on the tackle on Sumo out of the backfield. It'll bring up 4th down and force a punt. So good job by the white squad defensively. 3 and out. First possession of this second half. Concepcion back to return this punt. Good kick, forcing him back to his 25. faux return for Concepcion, as the red team will now take over, or white team rather, from their own 25. Finley's going to come out, so I'm sure we'll get a healthy dose of Morris and Finley, and then we'll probably see some other quarterbacks here in this second half.
Yeah, you have to wonder if Brennan's done for the day, but like we hit on earlier, these guys haven't got much of an opportunity to see what they can do. You know, MJ, now he's with the ones with the red squad, and that'll be a good opportunity because now he'll finally have some guys up front that can block and give him the time in the pocket to make some plays.
So Ben Finley, I mentioned redshirt sophomore, he's already got his undergraduate degrees in graduate school, had investment banking internship. Actually, right now, I think Coach said during the spring. So, fumble. They'll blow this one dead as it's picked up by the defense. Shaheen Battle picked up the fumble, and that's exactly what Coach Doran said he wasn't all that happy about, although you got to expect some of this because of the wet weather.
Yep, this is that double screen again. You got to want to put that ball high and tight. Get two hands on that ball when those guys are coming from the inside, because it's going to be hard to hold on when it's this slippery and wet outside.
Anthony Smith was the receiver who put the ball on the carpet. Shaheen Battle fell on it.
2 turnovers there for Battle now. Had the pick 6 earlier, fumble recovery.
No Aiden White, no Jakeem Harris in the secondary during the spring game. He's banged up a little bit, nothing serious, but didn't want to exacerbate any injury here in the game. Flag on the play. We'll get an illegal procedure against the red team. They'll back up 5 yards. Haven't talked that much about the offensive line. You know, you lose Zavala and Spears from last year, but you bring back, I kind of feel like it's kind of like the linebacker spot. You might bring back 3 starters, but you also bring back some other players that have starting experience on that line.
Yeah, they got Anthony Bellin and Tim McKay at tackle, and then Dylan McMahon kind of makes that transition from guard to center. But he played a little bit at center last year when Grant Gibson went down, and he was actually thought about leaving for the NFL draft. I think he, you know, submitted his name, or got the film evaluation and came back as a possible draft pick, but decided to return to NC State, which is obviously huge. So really it's those 2 guards. Who's going to fill in those guards? But I know they feel good about their tackles and now their center.
Yeah, Tim McKay's had an injury last year, kind of rehabbing that foot. The new offensive line coach as well. We talked a lot about, I heard Coach Doran talking about just the influx of sort of an attitude, if you will, up front.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, the conversation we had with him about the success he's had at bringing in these coaches, and how him coming in from Northern Illinois, he hired a bunch of Midwestern coaches, but he felt like he had to get, down here in the South in North Carolina, the players are a little bit different, and he started molding his staff around what fits the players here. And then comes Coach Tujay, who's with Robert and I at Virginia, replaced Coach Garrison, who left for Ole Miss, and he said he knew what the O-line, what that room needed, and he found Coach Tujay and thought he would fit them really well.
Michael Allen found some room to run on the right side, picked up a first down. So this offensive line here for the Red Squad paving the way on this drive. You mentioned McMahon, who's injured. Presumably the starting center on this team, Dawson Jaramillo, transferred in from Oregon. Getting some time on this Red Squad here on this drive. Mims on the carry. Reverses his field, still on his feet. That's a good run. Picked up about 7 yards.
Dawson Jaramillo comes in from Oregon. Talk about hair earlier. And I know I don't have much, but he's got his mullet Mondays going. He's got one heck of a mullet.
Right. That helmet really is not going to do justice to that mullet. I mean, it's all business on top, party in the back, but that helmet covers up the type of blowout that party is in the back. He has one of the nicest mullets you will ever see. Morris. Nice run. They'll blow it dead inside the 10, right at the 10. It'll be 1st and goal. Nice drive after the turnover for this Red squad. Offensive line really paving the way, and Morris showing his athleticism.
Yeah, he does have great athleticism. We saw this last year. He had, the rushing touchdown, just a simple zone read concept. See that end crash, and he gets upfield. And again, in game situation, you probably want to slide there and avoid that big hit.
Mims to Morris's right. The give to him, big hole up the middle, crashes his way inside the 5. They'll mark him down at the 2. He is a load to bring down.
That's a good block there by Sed Sebro. Talk about the Sebro brothers.
Yeah. Well, finishing my story on them, Sed is 245 and Fred's 230. They're identical twins. So either Sed's going to say it's because I'm working out in the weight room and I'm putting on muscle. Fred's going to say you're spending too much time at the training table. That's why you're 15 pounds heavier than I am. Mims and Allen in the backfield. Mims straight up the middle for the score.
You see the tackle pulling all the way around, but that is just great push, untouched, into the end zone. Could have walked through that hole.
Looked like the mullet man, Jaramillo, with a great block from the center spot to seal it off. Red team extends their lead with Narveson on the PAT. It's 28-10 midway through this 3rd quarter. Mims on the carry, untouched into the end zone for the Wolfpack running back. Just the start of what is a 3-week-long binge on ACC spring football games. A ton of them next Saturday as we look at the headlines. Clemson getting a little bit of TCU injection into that offense. Tallahassee, the high hopes down there in Florida State. When you think about that program now on the way back, Miami may be right behind them, but right now Florida State's got the edge. And then Drake May coming back at quarterback. It's like the rich get richer. The quarterback room for North Carolina has been ridiculous, and May deciding to come back makes them that much more dangerous.
Yeah, I think as he heads into the season, there's a legit conversation of a 1-2 draft pick between him and Caleb Williams. I think Drake May is that good. Can he have the year he had last year? I don't know. I mean, they have a new offensive coordinator. They got to replace some receivers. They lose Josh Downs.
Yeah.
But his skill set is meant for the NFL, and I love watching him play.
It is interesting to see, the teams that are kind of on the way back, like Florida State. I think Miami will be. I mean, I think they had to take a step back maybe last year to take 2 steps forward, and they might do that this year. It might be next year. I think they got the right man for the job, but it is going to be interesting to see those teams kind of how much ground, and along with NC State, as we've mentioned, they're right there too. How much ground can they make up on Clemson?
Right.
Can Wake Forest continue their strong play and kind of be knocking on the door too?
Yeah, I think at Miami, their quarterback situation was similar to what Brennan Armstrong went through last year. Tyler Van Dyke had a really good year 2 years ago and had a new coaching staff come in and struggled. So can he get back to where he was? Because he has a really high ceiling and a good skill set, but the production wasn't there last year. And then you talk about Florida State. I mean, I think we can all agree that the ACC is in a better place when Florida State's in the national headlines and, talking about being a top 5 team headed into the season. That's a good thing for the ACC to have.
You got to include Narduzzi and Pitt too in that conversation of that next second tier of teams. They're a lot like NC State, I think, in the sense that they just keep finding ways to win.
They have. I think that's a very comparable program to NC State. Now they have won an ACC championship, but as we alluded to earlier, they have been on that other side of the division. But you got to give them credit. I mean, they were able to win one. But I think they have a coaching staff that is very similar. Doran and Narduzzi seem similar as far as their mindset, their ability to develop talent. And you're right, that's kind of that next tier behind what Clemson has been for the past decade.
They've also been able to replace big-time players. You know, big-time players move on to the NFL, and schools like Pitt and NC State have both been able to reload. And you think about the quarterback spot, as important as that is, look at the movement and some of these new faces and familiar names in new places.
Yeah, if you would have pointed this out last year before the season, I mean, you wouldn't believe it. Sam Hartman lining up, you know, for the Fighting Irish. Devin Leary, preseason ACC Player of the Year, now goes to Kentucky. DJ Uiagalelei. I mean, this is just
the well-traveled Keaton Slovis.
This is the new era of college football, and that I think this is going to be the new norm.
You got to check it every spring to say, where's this cat now? Where did he go? Oh, he's there. Uiagalelei is in Oregon State. Okay, maybe that's the right spot for him. You certainly wish him the best, but it does make it difficult to keep track of. And Mike, from your perspective, how difficult is it for an offense and for your teammates if every year you've got a new signal caller and that signal caller comes in, and every year he's got a new system and he's working with new receivers?
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's ideal that you don't want to live in the transfer portal, and that's what Dave Doran told us. He said it's tough to have a sustainable culture if you just rely on the transfer portal, and I think it also creates more of a win now mentality that every year you can rebuild your roster going through that portal. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting was how NC State has hired Andy Vaughn, the new GM here, how they're going to this NFL model of personnel department. And I mean, it's truly like a front office where you have someone that's evaluating not only the high school kids, but you got guys just evaluating transfer portal kids. And it's just a whole new realm of college sports.
Concepcion back to return this punt. Caden Noonkester puts a foot into it. Concepcion will let it roll out of bounds.
Punt goes out of bounds at the 23-yard line.
Running clock in the second half. So we're under a minute in this third quarter. Still have a set of fans here for NC State that are underneath the overhang on the far side. And one dude here dancing to the 50-yard line on the near side. I mean, these are hardy folks. They weren't going to miss this game no matter what. A hurricane could come rolling through here this weekend, and they were still going to be out here watching their Wolfpack.
They had that a few years ago here. Notre Dame came in town, and there was an actual hurricane.
Yeah. I think that was the Tom Luganville game when he was down there on the sideline. If Luganville's doing sideline for your game, get ready for the hurricane, because it's coming. Notorious. Final seconds ticking down here in the third quarter. Red and white game, one final quarter to go here from Raleigh. Start of the fourth quarter here in Raleigh, 28-10 our score. Red team with the lead over the white squad in the annual red and white game at NC State. Brennan Armstrong joins us right now on the headset. Brennan, how has this weather affected you on the day?
I mean, obviously, you see the obvious through 2 picks out here. Yeah, just letting the ball's going high, sailing on me. So that's what happens when you overthrow receivers. You get guys behind them and picking those off. But yeah, I mean, it's hasn't stopped raining. I think it hasn't stopped raining for Friday and Saturday. So yeah, I mean, I got to do a better job of taking care of the ball, especially in weather. Even though it's a spring game, the main concern is taking care of the ball there.
Brennan, I heard Wagon Wheel playing over the loudspeaker. I'm not sure if you've heard it enough in Raleigh yet. But how are you liking your time here so far?
No, it's been great. The first week here was chaos, just getting me settled in and everything like that, with classes to football. Obviously just where I'm living, and I settled in pretty quickly. Probably about, I would say, like 2.5 weeks. I was pretty comfortable, settled in, just kind of put my head down, got to work, get to know the guys, and winter workouts were here. So that's all I just focused on, was just getting to know the team, the guys that I was going to be playing with.
Brennan, you're reunited with Robert and I. Tell me about either the similarities or dissimilarities from what you were doing in Virginia to what you're going to be doing here.
I mean, there's always similarities just because it's the same offense, the same style. But we got different personnel than what we had at Virginia. Different guys that we're going to try to look in to put the puzzle pieces together to make this offense, go. I think that's just what we've been trying to figure out this spring, was just, figure out who can do what, who's good at what. And I think summer's going to be a huge, just a huge stepping stone for us as an offense, just getting chemistry dialed down. The guys have been in the offense for 15 practices now, and they kind of understand what's going on. And then we can just work on the little things about the offense this summer.
So far this spring, who are you feeling like you're developing the best chemistry with out of that receiver group?
I mean, there's a few guys. I would say Keon's been great for me. I think KC is going to be a heck of a player. There's plenty of other guys. I think the main thing is just figuring out what each guy's good at and then working on those specific things with them. And, like I said, we're doing that as we speak, so especially out here right now.
Brendan, how would you characterize this offense if you had to describe it to somebody in just a couple of sentences?
Man, it's aggressive. I don't know. It's just aggressive all the time. It feels like the pedal's always down. I know there's sometimes it can hurt us, sometimes it doesn't hurt us, but it just feels like that's what it is. It's that type of mentality of an offense, and just the guys understanding that here at NC State now, and hopefully we can build that chemistry and mentality here as an offense.
About a month left in the semester, and then some summertime. You got any plans for the summer?
Shoot, maybe go out to Cali. I think we're going to be working some stuff out there, quarterback-wise, and go see my family, obviously. She'll be taking go see my girlfriend in KC, probably. Just probably bouncing around a little bit. Nothing too crazy, just the main thing. Keep the things the main thing. Football, family, and you got the girlfriend.
Always got to include that one too. Yeah, Brendan.
She's gonna love that one. Trust me. She'll be shocked I said anything.
Girlfriend first, and then football and family after that. Thanks, Brendan.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you, man. Brendan Armstrong, trying to stay as dry as he can now that it looks like his day is over with here in the red and white game. Concepcion, one of those players he mentioned, that name just keeps coming up, doesn't it?
It really does. I heard it out at practice, like I said, from Joker Phillips, but then it was interesting to hear Coach Dorn bring it up, Coach Anine bring it up, and now, Brendan bring it up. So there's obviously some merit to it, and I think he's backed it up on the field. I think if there's been one guy that's kind of flashed in these weather circumstances, it's been him. So we'll see what kind of impact he can have this fall.
Yeah, we've seen a lot from him at the receiver spot. Also, Porter Rooks and Keon Lassane. Obviously, you would expect that. Juice Farine, another true freshman. We've seen him get some run. Seen a little bit from Julian Gray and Jalen Coit, too, also returning kicks, Jalen Coit. So that's something to keep an eye on, the redshirt sophomore. Over top, wide open, another receiver dropping the ball out of the backfield. That was Kendrick Raphael, who was wide open.
I'm not sure how he got so wide open here. Just a running back run up the seam, which you don't see, but that might have gone for an 85-yard touchdown. That's two now long touchdowns that we keep flashing those statistics. Their days look a little bit different if those two plays are made by the receiver.
Raphael with a shake of the head, although he had a flag on the play, so that would have come back anyways. Would have looked better, though. Inside of 10 minutes to play. Finley to pass. Got all kinds of time. Now he'll run. Checks it. They'll mark him down after a pickup of a handful. We'll have third down and about 8 yards.
A third down and 8 in the fourth quarter, backed up on the 20-yard line. This is when you can usually expect Carter-Finley to be rocking. Tony Gibson to dial up some crazy blitz.
But under normal circumstances, should be all hands on deck here. Instead, they bring just 3. So plenty of time for Finley, but nowhere to go with it. He's going to tuck and run, and he'll pick up 2. Saw Dave Dorn behind the play. Here's Coach Doran. By the way, he and his wife, Sarah, donating $1.25 million to establish a new program at NC State, the Wolfpack Empowerment. It's going to benefit NC State students who face challenges with executive function skills, organization planning, setting priorities, task completion, decision making. So, you know, you mentioned that he's been here 11 years. So this is all part, and we see it across all these schools. These coaches and their families become a part of the institution, and this is just another part of it. Dave Doran and his wife recognizing that there was a need, and they stepped right in and are giving back.
Yeah, this was really powerful to see as, you know, an alumni and a member that lives in Raleigh, to see that they were able to make a donation that big, and the impact that'll have on future students that come to NC State.
Casey Concepcion with the fair catch. We'll flip the field halfway through this fourth quarter in Raleigh. Weathering keeping these fans from Carter-Finley. They weren't going to miss this game. Midway through the fourth quarter, 28-10, the Red Squad on top. Peyton Wilson joins us right now. Peyton, you weren't going to miss this game either, even though you aren't playing in it.
Yeah, we'd never miss this. I mean, weather permitted, you know, we're out here, we're balling no matter what, whether it's rain, lightning, beautiful weather, we're always going to play. We love to play.
Peyton, I know, have one going to the house
may
right
go
here.
the distance here. Terrell Timmons.
Bad juju, Peyton, right when you get on.
Yeah, I know, right? Hey, shout out Terrell, man. Best upcoming receiver in the ACC, Terrell Timmons.
Peyton, I know NC State fans were excited to have you back. What was that motivating factor to come back for another season?
I mean, when I got here, you know, I had goals and stuff that I set out myself personally and for the team as well, and I feel like I haven't reached those goals, and I'm just super excited to get back with this team and show not only the ACC but the country what we really can do. We're tired of talking and talking and talking and not producing. We're ready to finally, you know, just come out here and play ball as hard as we can and the best we can.
You know, last year you had the big comeback from the shoulder injuries and whatnot. How do you feel, and kind of how much did that take out of you just in terms of having to come back from those injuries over those couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, injuries are tough, you know, but I mean, they only make you stronger mentally, physically as well. You know, I don't take the game for granted anymore. I know that every play that I go out there may be my last, so I have to play every play to the fullest, no matter what's going on. And, you know, I'm just excited that I ended last season healthy, and I'm able to go in this all-season training all season. And I'm super pumped for this upcoming season to be 100% healthy and just back to my normal self.
Right, and when I turn on the film of you, I see the closing speed, and it just feels like you swallow the quarterback. But you line up at different positions. Sometimes you're at true linebacker, sometimes you're at the edge. What do you like more? Do you like coming off the edge or playing that true traditional linebacker?
Personally, I love playing linebacker, man. I like being in the box. I like playing the run. I like taking on offensive linemen. But I mean, Coach Gibson, I mean, I tell people all the time, he's like an artist when it comes to scheming things up. He just knows what people are good at. He knows people's strengths, and he puts you in the best position to make the best plays every single game. And I mean, that's just all credit to him.
Peyton, you've got talent around you at the linebacker spot, but not the experience. So without Drake and Isaiah, how does that change your role now with this team?
I mean, you guys know that Isaiah, I mean, probably the best leader we've ever had here at NC State. Very vocal, very outspoken. I mean, and I was just super excited to step in that role when he left, you know, just becoming the vocal leader on the team and having people look at you a different way. It's super exciting. And just speaking on the experience, you know, over the years we've had some injuries. So people like Devon Betty and Jalen Scott, Caden Fordham, they've been thrown in that fire just because we haven't had people, you know. So I think that they're super excited to get out there and show the world what they can do. You know, they've been here for 3 or 4 years due to COVID and still have 3 years left. So they're just really excited to show everybody what they can do, as well as the whole defense.
All right, Peyton, we appreciate the time. Try and get dry, all right?
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one.
All right, you too. Peyton Wilson, who was in sweats today for the game. Graduate student, he knows what the deal is. He doesn't have to play a spring game, especially in this kind of weather.
This is like that fourth preseason game in the NFL.
He's like, I've done this already before. Ethan Rhodes hasn't, though. Redshirt freshman from Maiden, North Carolina, now in a quarterback. Exactly to your point at the beginning of the broadcast. an opportunity to show what you can do.
Yeah, this is what it's all about for these walk-ons. I mean, they put in the same amount of work as everyone else on the team and rarely get rewarded with playing time during the season. So they can create great memories out here. Unfortunately, for my man Ethan, I don't know if he's really going to get a chance to do much.
Clock inside of 4 minutes. The weather has forced a significant number of punts today, so the punt team has gotten some work. We've gotten to see players like Concepcion and Coit returning kicks, although they haven't been able to do much with them. He's coming back on the other side, MJ Morris, during our interview with Peyton Wilson.
Yeah, they've run the screen a lot. That's a great job by Terrell Timmons. I had a coach describe that as a Nike swoosh. It kind of looks like a Nike swoosh where you go up and then you come back around. Took it all the way, but great to see that speed. I know Terrell Timmons, he came on strong last year at the end of the season. Had a huge touchdown catch from Ben Finley in that game against Carolina, which really got them going, and they're excited about the future.
Cousins with Keenan Allen. You know, it's something he can pound his chest about when the family gets together for Thanksgiving.
Put that on the broadcast.
Morris with the handoff to Sumo. We've seen Sumo, Jordan Houston earlier. Hadn't seen much of him in the second half. DeMarcus Jones earlier. We saw Delbert Mims score a touchdown. We've seen Michael Allen, who got a lot of playing time last year. Kendrick Raphael. This is a pretty deep running back room.
Yeah, it is. And Jordan Houston's, in my opinion, a very good player. He can kind of do it all. He's got great vision with the outside zone scheme. And he's a great scat back. He's fast. He's got good hands. He understands protections. It's a nice ball right there by MJ.
That's a couple we've seen from him in this bad weather, rifling it over the middle, hitting Porter Rooks.
Here you got what he's reading. He's got the shallow cross coming in his vision, and behind him is that 10 to 12 yard basic route. Good job going through his progression, getting to his second read, and delivering a good ball.
Rooks presumably in the slot this year, starting the year, and Keon Lassane on the outside, and then going to fill in the pieces. Has a receiver open here inside the 20, inside the 10. That's going to be a touchdown for Concepcion. Well, he's living up to the billing. Almost to a man. Every coach we spoke to and some of his teammates said, watch out for KC Concepcion, the freshman from Charlotte.
I love that smile on his face again. This is just a basic smash concept, but a good ball by MJ. I mean, these are balls that we saw some of the guys miss earlier. He puts this right on the money, drops it in the bucket, and a good job by KC. Finishing the play, but you know he wanted to get in the end zone right there.
Brought down at the 1. Going to mark him down at the 1 yard line. Tracked down that time by the corner, Christopher Scott. So the two backs are going to give it to Sumo, who's going to power his way in. Low snap, and Morris was able to go down and pick it up off the turf. Sumo finds the end zone. And that looks like that'll be the final score of the day. The Red Squad padding their lead.
It's a good showing by MJ. I think that was a really good ball right there. Had a good day. Those last two drives obviously got inflated with that screen that went for the touchdown, but good job getting the snap right here. Strong physical run by Deme Sumo to get his way in the end zone. And these guys are sprinting in the locker room.
When that clock hit triple zeros, man, that was it. Red squad, white squad. That's going to do it. Morris and Timmons celebrating together, though. They hooked up on a long touchdown. Brennan Armstrong, first time in red and white for him. That's going to wrap it up for Mike Glennon and myself, Chris Carter, and our entire crew here at Raleigh. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.